Alright, so what we learned today, we try to learn how to create UML diagram here. So the question is to create a class that describes one room in a house. The room will have walls with different colors, floor with different floor types, and the windows that with different number of windows. And we start out to use UML diagram here, name room with 3 attributes with different types. We just give the default value to white, carpet, and 0. Now we start to create a third row. Third row of UML should represent the methods. So we start with a constructor with no parameters, and then constructor with, this is just passing different single attributes, and this is just all of the attributes, which is requiring you to do here. This class must include a constructor takes no input arguments, and also an overloaded constructor. Overloaded means with the same name, right? That takes an input argument for each attribute. So like you may see, this is the same name, room, constructors with different signatures. So the parameters part we call signatures. That is the overloaded constructor. Now if you keep reading, it also asks us to create a class include set and getters, right, for each attribute. So I'm going to create the setters, set wall color. You need to pass in the color to set, which is a string type, right? So again, we need to create the setters and getters. So we can do get wall color, and we have to do plus to define it as public methods. And for get, you don't need to include any parameters because it's just returning back, right? So we need to do the same thing with set and getters for the other 2 attributes, which is set floor color, get floor, actually floor type, right? Then we're not going to say color. So get floor, and this is just the type as a string. And last one is set windows, pretty much just number of windows. We just shorten it to windows. And this is just number, how many windows in the int according to the attributes type, and get windows. So we have set and getters. I've saved that. You may access to this one, to this link, to this UML diagram. The class must also include a method that will print out the current values of its attributes, of all the attributes to console. Alright, so normally I would change this a little bit to the class must include the toString method. Okay. So toString is very common as the name of the method. So what's this? toString that will print, it's going to say will return the current values of all the attributes. That's it. Okay, so let's talk about that. So how would it look? It should look like this. Plus toString should be a public. Now we also need to specify the types to your methods. So this is going to return string type. Like getter also return int type. For set we do not return anything, so it's void. This is going to return string, and this is going to be void, and this is going to return string type. and set wall color is going to be void. For the constructor, there's no types. So we're done with toString. toString just return, so there's no parameters for toString. Now, create a main method that is in a separate class. So we talk about how to test this one now. So the main method will create one room that is printed yellow with hardwood flooring and one window. Okay, so what is UML going to look like? We're going to make a room diaper here. So I'm creating another UML. So I'm going to name room driver. Driver, if you look at your class here, there's no main methods, right? Because we're going to create a class to represent an object. So the one with the main is going to be on your driver. So this is something that may be new to you for the one who is very new to object-oriented programming concept. So just pay attention then. So your room driver, you should have a main, which is a public static void main, right? So it's statics main. And remember, we have something like that inside, which is string. So it's statics void, right? So that's your main, which at this point we're not requiring you to have any attributes, so you can just leave it blank. If you have the attributes of the class, you can do so. We talk about that, right? Then that should do with the UML diagram. So we have the UML diagram done, right? We want to create the attributes according to this. Pretty much just implement a class, name room, right? With a wall, floor, and windows int. So these are the attributes, right? And the methods with the constructors, right? Of course, this one is example code. So by default, you should have the default values according to what you set here, white, carpet, and 0, right? So this one, I didn't do that yet. So like I said, if you use that UML, you're supposed to have exactly match. Otherwise, you don't get credit for that. So I have constructor again, and constructor again for each string color, number of windows. Like I'm still missing the other constructor according to my UML diagrams. I should have this too, right? With 3 parameters. Now I do set wall, set, so get floor, set floor, right? Take the string in this dot floor. These refer to the attributes floor. So that is the this operator. So we use that to make a distinction between the parameters floor itself. So this refer to attributes. This floor, right, attributes equals to the parameter name floor because it's the same name. And then get just return. We can actually do this dot windows too to refer to attributes. It should return the attributes, but it's smart enough to know that we refer to that attributes windows. Okay, same set windows, set wall, and like that. Get wall should return this dot wall, right? Like that one is different. It should say this dot windows. And this is toString. toString pretty much just return all the values of your attributes. Like I said, room has wall with a color, which is wall. Get wall color. This is just one example, but you have to complete it with all of them, which is the number of windows and the floor type. Okay, now after you've done your class name room, the next thing is you need to have a main. Like this is the main room driver to test, right? In the main. So let's look at your, I call this one room demo. but on the UML room driver, this has to be matched too if you say the same name right there, right? So this one, it has main methods, right? Which instantiate, this is called instantiation, create an instance named bed, B room stand for bedroom, D room stand for dining room. So let's talk about just room first, because this example we just look at room, right? This one happened to have a class named bedroom too, but this one we talk about room. Room can have, like if you look at my constructor, this can be different. Since I have dining room, okay, and bedroom, so we didn't talk about the inheritance concept, so you don't need to worry. Since this is 201 class, we talk about extend the room as the inheritance, so that's why it become a room too. See that? After you create a class, you can extend the class, okay, and then when you extend, that means you can add more methods to it, like specify to that type of room. Like we talk about constructor bedroom, super refer to the parent's constructor, which is room, like super, like get curtain. So bedroom we can have curtain, get area, right? We adding more methods. Like dining room, we're gonna have more, like we have chandelier, get area. They have its own methods, okay? You can learn that in 201. And we can just do, this is the concept of polymorphisms. Like you have a type room, but you could instance of dining room. Don't worry about that part yet. But what you need to know is this one. Let's see. CSC. I'm going to use github.com to CSC 130. But the room concept is the same on that one, okay? So let's look at the food.java here. This is the same example, but I mean different example, but the same concepts. Like food has name, descriptions, and price, right? As the attributes. So we have name string type, description string, price is big decimal to represent the money. We have constructor with passing 3 parameters in to set this dot name equals to name, same as this dot description equals to description that you pass in, and this dot price. Get name, getter and setters, right? To represent the food, set name. Like I said, you have to say this dot name equals to name. Get description, set description. Get price, set price, and you should have 2 strings. Like this 2 string return the name, the description, and the price, the values of each attributes. So go back to foodtest.java. See, you just instantiate it. Okay, new instance name a food from the class food that you just created equals to new call to the constructor that you have. Pass in the name of the food, onion rings. The description is fried onions, and you pass in the price $3.50. Okay, since I didn't use double, I used big decimal, then I have to use the constructor of big decimal, new big decimal, and pass in the price. And this is recommended way to do the money. Okay, and then we can just do the test print. When you do toString, I do .toString, it's going to return all information about this. Or you don't need to do .toString. You can just call the instance name. It's going to do the same as you call .toString. And that's pretty much it. Okay. Now if you look back to your assignment, it asks you to create a main method. Let's create a second room, right? So it asks you to create a first room. You can do just room 1, and pass this in as constructors arguments. Room 2, and pass the same thing